We're here in northern Michigan, and it's a good place to be, with stunning sights and close-knit communities, framed by forests and the freshest water you'll ever see. It's a good place to do the things you love, with the people you love. And when people become patients, we are here, and here, and here. And it's a good place to be.
I love clam chowder. I love cooking it, I love making it, I love eating it. If you want to know how much clam chowder I've had in my lifetime, probably a couple tanker truckloads. And I just love it. We went out to dinner, we had clam chowder, we came home, and I said, Fred, look at me, something's wrong.
And all of a sudden she's fire engine red, I mean all over.
I called the hospital.
The receptionist said, look, this is nothing to fool with. Do you have Benadryl?
So we went in the shop and safe. We get our Benadryl, and Fred's looking at me like, he's shaking his head and he's like, honey, I'm not thinking the Benadryl's gonna do it.
And I said, look, we've got to go to Paul Oliver now. We can't wait.
My husband had just that week got cataract surgery, so he couldn't drive. We didn't even know where Paul Oliver was exactly. We followed the signs.
So we got there, and immediately the people were waiting for her with a wheelchair.
When Joyce first came in that night, it was pretty clear that she was in some immediate danger.
We got there, and I knew she was safe. I knew right then and there that she was in good hands. They were not going to let anything happen to her.
You know, what we did made a big difference for her, and we were able to, potentially save her life.
Within a week, she had been tested by Dr. McClellan, who's a very, very fine allergist. Found out that, in fact, she is very allergic to shellfish.
I have a freezer full of shellfish, and now I'm gonna have to, I don't know, put chicken there, I guess.
Had Paul Oliver not been there, I don't think she would have made it.
I had no idea that such a gem was sitting right over there in Frankfort.
We think Benzie County's great. We love it now even more, just because of Paul Oliver. Munson healthcare system, keep up the good work.
We moved to St. Ignace in 1955, and I guess I've been a Yooper ever since. We're like one big happy family, Yoopers. We've lived in this chalet on the shore of Frenchman Lake since 1984. I taught at Rudyard High School for 30 years, taught English, speech, drama, and creative writing. I enjoy writing, and I try to spend a little time at my desk every day. We were visiting our daughter in Hood River, Oregon, and I detected some symptoms that were somewhat suspicious.
Mr. Flanders was one of our first endoscopy patients here at Mackinac Straits, and he's a special case to us because he's our first detected colon cancer. I
had to have chemo for 6 months. I went to the oncology department at Mackinac Straits and was treated like royalty. The tender loving care and it's just amazing. I almost look forward to going there every 2 weeks.
Mr. Flanders was told that he was cancer-free after a second colonoscopy screening.
When he awoke from his anesthesia, the first question was, did you see anything in there? And I said, well, I saw lots of things in there, but cancer wasn't one of them. The last time I had seen him was the day I told him he had cancer. So the next time I see him, I get to tell him he's cancer-free, and that's a pretty good thing.
Medically and surgically, to get that kind of result is top-notch. I can't wait for the next patient that has the same story.
The kind of treatment that I received at Mackinac Straits Hospital was outstanding. I can't imagine that it would be any better anyplace else in the country. We will celebrate our 56th wedding anniversary this month, so it's a good life. That hospital has been a blessing for us old-timers up here. Now that Mackinac Straits is part of a larger Munson system, it can't help but have benefits for all of us.
What makes West Shore Medical Center a standout for me is that we're a family. Coming to work every day, that family helps other families through their hardships, their sicknesses and their pains.
Working together with my mother here at West Shore is just, it's amazing. Both my mother and I work in the diagnostic field.
I've always been driven to enjoy technology, so radiology was meant for me. I really enjoy seeing what the medical field has brought my son. There'll be times that I'll talk to my patients and they'll say, "Is that your son that's up in the sleep lab?" And I'll say very proudly, "Yes, it is." And they'll say, "Oh my, did he really change my life?" It just makes me get goosebumps.
My mother is an amazing person that has a huge heart. She'll help anybody.
I have a deep compassion for our cancer patients. Every day I go home and think of my patients and think of what we did today and how can we make it even better for tomorrow. When I no longer can give to the community and no longer can be there for patient care, I can know in my heart that my son's going to carry that passion and follow my steps.
I feel very fortunate. I get the opportunity to live in a community that is special, to be able to work at West Shore, to be able to work with my mother, to be able to do the things that we do. It simply is like a dream come true to me.
To have the whole picture here at West Shore, how could you ask for anything more?
My husband Dave and I have been in northern Michigan all our lives. We went to high school together. We've had a business in Kalkaska for 38 years. We live just 10 miles outside of Kalkaska. 5 months ago, I got up at about 6 in the morning and the whole world started spinning. I didn't know what was happening and I literally could not move. We went into the hospital in Kalkaska. They just moved into action, got me into the ER. Then a great thing that they did, they pulled a television screen in. And I talked to a neurologist that was in Grand Rapids. He could see me, I could see him. That was excellent. That was amazing. They did a CAT scan and he said, "We can't see enough. So with your permission, I'm going to send you to Munson." And we went through the roundabouts, which were awful. I was so sick to my stomach, and then turning like that, it was tough. By the time they did the MRIs, they really could not see why I had a stroke. They could just see the damage. I think with a stroke, the very important thing is that you have to get treatment quickly. So my family acted quickly, and then in Kalkaska, they stabilized me right away. I didn't have to wait for anything. And once we got into Munson, it was a very quick action. 5 months later, I feel really well. We're back snowshoeing, we're walking the dog. We owned a pharmacy for many years and provided the medication for Kalkaska Memorial. And it's wonderful to watch how they've grown. It's amazing what we have in just a little town. It gives you confidence to live way out in the woods. If any emergency arises, then you can be cared for.
I retired at the end of 2014 and was going to spend a long winter having fun, and found out in February that I had breast cancer. I've had a pretty positive attitude right from the start, probably day 2, not day 1 of diagnosis. I just knew it was going to be all right. I had a partial mastectomy at Cadillac Hospital. After the surgery, I just went on with life, healed up, and first part of June we started the chemotherapy. At the Cadillac Hospital, it's amazing how the nurses and the doctors treat everyone so fairly and so thoroughly. They're so kind. And then when I went up to the Biederman Cancer Center, I didn't know if it was going to be the same, but they were wonderful. The nurses and radiation technicians were so thorough, so kind and compassionate with everyone. It was 30 3 rounds of radiation, and it must have been quite successful in my case because the day after radiation completed, I got on an airplane, flew to Hawaii, and watched my daughter get her PhD. Without my treatment, I might not have been able to take the trip. I got my final radiation check at the Cowell Family Cancer Center. I think I was like the 4th patient they'd seen there at the new facility. It's a beautiful building. I was amazed, it's gorgeous. I started the follow-up treatment at the Cadillac Hospital. I'll be doing this for a year. If I found out today that my best friend or my sister had cancer, I would tell them to stay positive. Treatment is improved. Our life expectancy is so much better than it was 10 years ago. It makes you feel very positive, very good to think that you can plan to be here for another 10 or 20 years.
I don't actually even know what's up with the elk. It's always been here. You go and get ice cream at Gobbler's and you go look at the elk. That's just what we've always done. I was born and raised in Gaylord and I love this community. Nursing is my passion. My mom actually just recently found a newspaper clipping from when I was in kindergarten that said, when I grow up, I want to be a nurse and work with doctors and patients. Living in my hometown allows me to care for people that I may know or have known my whole life, and I think this provides them with a level of comfort, knowing there's a connection with me or my family. Sometimes it can be difficult to see people decline and not get better, but it's also rewarding to be able to wheel people out the door and help them get in their cars. It's really nice working in a smaller hospital. I feel like we're a very tight-knit group and they're essentially your family away from your own family. You spend long hours with them. We see each other laugh and cry and get mad and get sad, and so we're really great about being there for one another. Otsego Memorial Hospital has been partnered with Munson Healthcare for a number of years now, and I think that's wonderful for our patients. Along with Otsego Memorial Hospital, Munson Healthcare also encourages their employees to further their education. My goal is to get my master's in nursing, become a family nurse practitioner. After my master's, I'll have 3 degrees from 3 universities in probably a 10-year period. I just love this community, and part of me thought I would never come back, but I was lucky enough to be able to find a job here. I just can't imagine working and living somewhere else.
I have traveled all over the world. I've studied birds throughout the world, Asia, South America. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with idiopathic heart failure. My whole life had gotten squashed down to laying on the couch, reading books, and getting up very little. I had several relapses and had to go into the hospital, and that was very disheartening. The last time I went in, Dr. Rekia saw me and said, "You need to be part of the heart failure clinic, Kate, and we're going to help you." He told me there was a new technology just being developed where they implant something as small as a dime in your pulmonary artery. We both agreed that I would be the first person in Traverse City to get a CardioMEMS.
The CardioMEMS device was designed to be able to basically be an early warning system where heart failure is going to start to happen.
It doesn't matter where I am in the world. If there's a cell phone tower in the area, I can plug in that machine, I can take a reading, and Dr. Rekia gets it.
Each day, I get a report on my smartphone what that patient's pressure is. And it really has reduced the risk of hospitalization for these patients to almost 0.
I think it's just a brilliant technology, and I think it's going to help thousands and thousands of people besides me. The best part of all of this is I have my life back, and it is sweet and wonderful, and that is because of Dr. Rekia and the Heart Failure Clinic and CardioMEMS and all of them coming together with me to give me the life that I want.
We've been married just a little over 3 years. We have a 2-year-old little boy, Beckett, and now we have twin little boys, Emery and Nash, and they are 11 weeks today. We don't sit down all day, whether it's taking care of babies or folding laundry. The laundry, there's so much laundry. We found out at 6 weeks we were gonna have twins. We were over the moon excited. We decided to have the babies at Grayling Hospital. We loved the OBGYNs that we were able to see here in Grayling.
Emery was first, then Nash was born 10 minutes later.
They put him on my chest for a second. They realized right away he was struggling to breathe.
We found out at one point that they were gonna have to move Nash to the NICU unit in Traverse City. I had to follow Nash over to Traverse City, and for us to be split up is not how we wanted things to start. The NICU unit in Traverse City was excellent. When we got there, I did feel a huge relief after talking to the doctor when they said, hey, like he's breathing on his own, like everything they did at Grayling set him up, like he's gonna be fine.
There was the concern about Emery needing surgery on his intestines, and that's not something Munson would do. We found out that Emery was gonna be going down to DeVos. Helicopter came up to get Emery, and actually I was already on the road with my mom heading down to DeVos. You really have to just put your faith in God and the pilots and the doctors and nurses that were coming to get him. When we got down to DeVos, they took another x-ray of Emery's abdomen and found out that he had in fact passed his blockage. So that was wonderful news. So after 4 days apart, we were able to bring the babies home. I'm incredibly thankful for the medical care we received in Grayling and in Traverse City and down at DeVos. If it wasn't for Grayling on that first night and the care these boys received, they probably wouldn't be here. They saved both their lives. We can look back on it and just be incredibly thankful for the gift that we were given, and our crazy busy life, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
One of the things I really love to do is fishing. That's my big thing. I am a professional walleye fisherman. I had about a year ago been on the boat on a cold April morning and ran out to a fishing spot on the far end of the lake and then began to feel faint. I toughed it out, but that was something that I communicated with my doctor. They recommended that I go ahead and have a stress test done at Charlevoix Hospital. I was referred over to have a cardiac catheterization done. They quickly let me know that I was going to need the services of a cardiothoracic surgeon. If you were going to try to fix this with stents, I would have had 15 stents. When I got that initial diagnosis, sat down and had a discussion with my family, and we decided that I could go anywhere in the country to receive this surgery. We decided that Munson was the right choice for us. The experience that I had at Munson and the Weber Heart Center was just such a fantastic experience. The surgery that was performed for me was a quadruple bypass. I'm grateful for the healing hands of a surgeon like Dr. Sterling. When he was rounding the very next day, I said, "Doc, thanks for saving me." About 5 days into my patient stay there, I remember being a little depressed the first time that I had an opportunity to view that scar that went up and down my chest. And I never will forget this aide who came in and helped to inspire me and let me know that I was going to come out of this as a healthy, vibrant person ready to take on the world again. The cardiac rehab program at Charlevoix Hospital is just fantastic. I was able to start my cardiac rehab right along with that return to work. I've been at Charlevoix Hospital for 16 years now. It really is one big happy family, and now that we are part of the Munson family, we've got access to all kinds of fantastic care, and I'm living proof of that. One of the great things about our affiliation is that we share the same values. When I was at Munson, it felt like I was also at Charlevoix Hospital. I feel very, very fortunate to have survived such an ordeal, but I really look forward to my second lease on life. It's a whole different perspective when you become the patient. You're the one in that hospital bed, and we may do these things day in and day out, and it may become routine for us, but it's not routine for that patient. We are performing modern day miracles each and every day.